including the famous Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, where General Custer was defeated by Native forces. Wounded Knee Massacre, 1890, one of the most tragic events in Native American history, where U.S. troops killed hundreds of Lakota Sioux during the suppression of the Ghost Dance movement. 5. American settlers. As American settlers pushed westward, Native Americans faced increasing threats to their land and way of life. Settlers often encroached on native lands, leading to violent confrontations. Sand Creek Massacre, 1864 in Colorado. U.S. militia forces attacked a peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho village, killing hundreds of women, children, and the elderly. 6. Diseases. One of the deadliest adversaries Native Americans faced was disease. European colonizers brought smallpox, measles, and influenza to the Americas, diseases to which native populations had no immunity. These outbreaks devastated entire communities, killing millions and significantly weakening their resistance to colonization. 7. Japan during World War II. In World War II, Native American code talkers, particularly the Navajo, played a critical role in the U.S. military's success against Japan. These code talkers used their native languages to create unbreakable codes for military communication. Japan attempted to decipher these codes, but failed. While not an enemy, in the traditional sense, Japan sought to defeat the U.S. forces, which relied on the contributions of Native American soldiers. Native Americans faced a variety of adversaries throughout their history, in addition to those previously mentioned. These enemies came from different directions, and their threats ranged from physical conflict to cultural and economic destruction. Here are some additional adversaries. 1. Dutch colonizers. While the Dutch were less prominent in the colonization of North America compared to the British and Spanish, they still had conflicts with native tribes. The Pequot War, 1636 to 1638, Dutch traders were involved in early tensions between the Pequot tribe and British colonists in New England. These conflicts led to a devastating war that resulted in the near destruction of the Pequot tribe. The Dutch sought alliances with some Native American groups, but they also participated in the fur trade, which increased competition and conflicts among native tribes. 2. Mormon settlers. As Mormon settlers moved into the Great Basin and surrounding areas in the mid-19th century, they encountered native tribes such as the Ute, Paiute, and Shoshone. The competition for land and resources led to violent confrontations. The Walker War, 1853 to 1854, this conflict arose between Mormon settlers and the Ute tribe in Utah Territory, largely due to competition for land and resources, as well as cultural misunderstandings. 3. Russian colonizers. In Alaska and parts of the Pacific Northwest, Russian colonizers posed a significant threat to Native American and indigenous peoples. The Tlingit-Russian War, 1802 to 1800, for the Tlingit people resisted Russian colonization efforts, attacking Russian outposts and settlements. The Russians retaliated and eventually established control over parts of Alaska, significantly impacting the indigenous populations through both violence and the fur trade. 4. Canadian colonial forces. Native American tribes in what is now Canada also faced colonial adversaries, particularly the British and French forces, but later Canadian government policies were a major challenge. Northwest Rebellion, 1885, led by Métis leader Louis Riel and supported by Cree and other indigenous groups. This rebellion aimed to resist Canadian government policies and land seizures. The rebellion was crushed by Canadian forces, leading to further suppression of indigenous rights and autonomy. 5. Buffalo hunters. In the 19th century, the U.S. government's strategy to control Plains native tribes, such as the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Comanche, included encouraging the mass slaughter of buffalo, their primary food source. Buffalo hunters, often settlers and U.S. soldiers, decimated the buffalo population, which led to widespread starvation and forced many native tribes to surrender to U.S. authorities and move on to reservations. 6. The Texas Rangers. In Texas, the Comanche, Kiowa, and Apache tribes frequently clashed with the Texas Rangers, a law enforcement body established by the Republic of Texas in the 1830s. The Rangers were instrumental in driving Native Americans out of Texas through violent means. The Texas Rangers often engaged in brutal warfare against native tribes, resulting in large-scale killings and forced displacement. 7. Missionaries. Christian missionaries, particularly those associated with the Spanish and later European colonization efforts, sought to convert Native American populations, often at the expense of their traditional cultures and spiritual practices.